Shalom, everybody. Forgive me for the late post. Microsoft Word wasn't working for me, so I had to do everything on my notes on my laptop. This one's probably gonna be my quickest video. It's just, a message where it's focused on obedience and disobedience. So quick summary about the Torah portion. So it contains three speeches by Moses to the children of Israel. Moses promises them that if they fulfill the commandments of the Torah, the mitzvah, they will prosper in the land they are about to conquer and settle in keeping with God's promise to their forefathers. The Torah portion also tells us of the blessing of obedience to God, the dangers of forgetting God, and directions for taking the land of Israel. It describes events that happened in the desert, including the manna, the golden calf, and Aaron's death. One of the main points of the Torah portion is reaping the rewards of faithfulness. Moses assures the Israelites that if they diligently follow God's commandments, they will flourish in the promised land. He points out the importance of observing the mitzvah and teaches that obedience to God's laws will lead to blessings, while disobedience will result in negative consequences. Reminder of the importance of remaining humble, faithful, and obedient to God's commandments, and potential consequences of straying from this path. Remember, Romans 6:23, the wages of sin is death. Also, added on Colossians chapter 3, verses 2 through 6. Focus your mind on things above, not on things on earth. For you have died, and your life is hidden with Messiah in God. When Messiah, who is your life, is revealed, then you also will be revealed with him in glory. Therefore, put to death what is earthly in you: sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil desire, and greed. For this is idolatry. Because of such things, God's wrath is coming upon the sons of disobedience. Always be obedient to God. Always focus on the things above. Trust him. Have faith. Hold on to that faith. Why do I say this? We see examples of what happens when you're disobedient to God and his wrath. That's the last thing anybody wants to face, the Lord's wrath. So one of the examples is in Exodus chapter 32, verse 26 to 28. This is the whole golden calf incident and Moses, staying by the gate. But I found this to be important because you see that Moses stood at the gate of the camp. He didn't want to be near sin, for they were committing idolatry. From there, he asked, "Whoever is on Adonai's side, let him come to me." The sons of Levi gathered together, and Adonai commanded them to take up their sword and go from camp to camp to slay his brother, his friend, and his neighbor. 3,000 men fell that day. Why? Because of their disobedience. They wanted things their way. How many times do we want things our way, and it never turns out the way we want it? Sometimes things are just given to us, but when day by day passes, it's not how you wanted it to be. Why? Because you wanted things your way. So things start to happen where you're asking, man, I really thought this was going to be, whether it be a new job or a new car, a brand new car. You get me? Instead of, praying to God and putting him first, asking him to go forward, you take matters into your own hands, and then you say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go. You don't even put God first. And then what ends up happening? Whether it's a new job, you see that it wasn't what you expected. Whether it's a new car, you might get the new car, and let's say 2 days pass, you get into an accident, rebuke in the name of Jesus, and the car is totaled. You ask, man, why? Why is it that this happened? Because you weren't focused. You weren't focused on God. You weren't focused on things above. You were so focused on the things of the world and what the world can give you that you were being disobedient to God. Instead of being obedient, trusting him in his timing, because his timing is always perfect. I also want to add on Numbers 11 verses 4 through 6. This is when, they're complaining because all they're having is manna. So the grumblers among them began to have craving. So Ben Israel began to wail repeatedly, saying, if we could just eat some meat. We remember the fish that we used to eat in Egypt for free, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic. But now we have no appetite. We never see anything but this manna. Now to the people say, and then verses 18 through 20. Now to the people say, sanctify yourselves for tomorrow, because you will eat meat. For you wailed in Adonai's ear, saying, if only we could eat meat. It was better for us in Egypt. Now Adonai will give you meat, and you will eat. You will eat not for 1 day, or 2 days, or 5 days, or 10 days, or 20 days, but for an entire month, until it is coming out of your nostrils, and it becomes loathsome to you. For you rejected Adonai who is among you, and you wailed to his face, saying, why did we ever leave Egypt? See, that's a great example. When we don't have things our way, or things are going horrible and stuff like that. And mostly for us who, are walking in his ways, and are asking, why aren't we there yet? Why am I not where I want to be? Is because the Lord is obviously at the moment telling you to wait, be patient, trust his timing. And at times we sort of stray away from the path and start thinking, man, things were a lot easier back then. I could do this and that. I had freedom, the free will to do whatever I wanted. Even though we know that whether you decide to follow or not, you still have the free will to do that. But is the importance of understanding that we aren't to look back at where we were to sort of be like, man, I miss when I used to do this or that. Because at that time, we were going through struggles. At that time, we were doing things, and I speak from experience, from my experience, my Egypt, things that weren't, of holiness, things that weren't of things above, things that, can leave you numb and leave a part of you empty. Your testimony is meant for you to show others where the Lord brought you out of, where he made that way for you to feel, for you to be free from that, from sin, to fill up that emptiness inside you. So then we ask ourselves at times, why aren't, and I've repeated this I don't know how many times already, but why aren't we there yet? Because if the Lord would just give you what you want, if he were to put you where you belong, where you're meant to be at, just like that, you wouldn't cherish it. Why? Because it was just given to you. There was no obedience, because to have obedience, you have to follow what he says. You have to follow the Torah. You have to have faith. You have to trust in his timing. You have to trust that he doesn't do things. I forgot the Jeremiah 29:11. He doesn't do things to harm you, but to give you a hope and a future. And when you read that verse, you have to focus on the fact that when he says to give you hope in the future, it's holding on to him. Where does your hope come from? Where does your faith come from? Where does your strength come from? It's him. Why? Because he's the one that guides your path. He's the one that puts a lamp onto your feet to lead the way. I'm not trying to go before God. I want God to go before me. And I want to just throw in Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 through 6, just for a message for each and every one of us to hold on to. Trust in Adonai with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. He will make your path straight. And it's difficult at times, but that's where we have to be obedient. That's where we have to trust. That's where our faith is shown. So the Torah portion, Eikev, teaches the value of faith in God's promises. It encourages us to trust in God's guidance even during times of trouble by reflecting on our blessings, always trusting in a higher power, which is Adonai, our God, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, still seated at his throne. It encourages us to remember our humble beginnings and to never lose sight of the struggles we have overcome by remaining humble to him. If he did it once, it's understanding that he's able to do it again. So we are to remain in his word. We're meant to fill ourselves daily with his word. I've had this conversation with my brother and others where obviously we all want to do more. You get me? And what I mean by that is remembering what Yeshua said. You'll be able to do greater things than me. I want to be able to heal the sick, cast out demons, prophesy, all these things. But all I can do right now, I can't just, Lord, give this to me right now. I have to focus on him, continue praying. And I just have faith that when that time comes, he will make that happen. So, yes, we don't want to be like the people worshiping the golden calf. Obviously, we want to be the Levites that ended up staying by Moses' side. Why? Because they knew I would rather be by him, or there was something greater. We don't want to be like the people that were complaining about the manna. Be grateful for what God's given you. Be grateful for what God's given you, because if you're grateful in the little, you'll be grateful in the big. So be obedient to him. Humble yourselves. And I'm speaking to myself too. I'm not just talking to you guys on the screen. But yes, that is my Torah portion. That is how I'm finishing this up. Very quick, fast. But continue. No matter the struggles, he's always with us. Draw near to him and he'll draw near to you. So shalom, everybody. I hope you guys received the message. God bless. I love you all. And yes.